I'm going to tell you a secret that has been beaten out of you since a very, very young age. Since the age you are able to walk and talk. And no, it's not at the fault of your parents or your teachers or the schools in general or your brothers and sisters. It's at the fault of those we cannot name. But essentially, we as kids have been programmed and conditioned into what, you might be asking? Nothingness. We have been programmed into dopamine. And the issue with loads and loads and loads of dopamine is every time you get that dopamine high, the low comes lower than the previous normal. So your new normal, your new baseline becomes lower. Your new baseline becomes weaker and weaker and weaker and more pathetic until it's at -3. -3 dopamine. And then you have to somehow climb back up, even though still dopamine is frying your minds and it's literally cooking you from the inside out. It's been conditioned into you ever since you were brought that first phone, ever since you experienced that first time you watched porn, ever since you experienced that first piece of junk food you ever eaten. Why do all of the kids talk about their addictions to McDonald's? I didn't understand it when I was a kid. Everyone would be like, yay, McDonald's, I love McDonald's. And I'd sit there like, what the fuck? I hate McDonald's. But then I used to eat it like every couple of weeks, right? And again, not all my fault, but I won't go too deep into it. But I used to eat McDonald's a fair amount. I wasn't fat or anything, but I still used to eat McDonald's. Because I used to eat McDonald's, but still only eat like 2,000 calories a day. McDonald's is probably half my day. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but essentially, the dopamine of junk food began. The dopamine of Clash Royale on my phone began. And ever since then, every time I played it and lost, I felt less and less satisfied. And I'm sure you've experienced something similar. Whether it be with social media or video games or junk food, wherever it might be, the dopamine gets lower and lower and lower. You notice, if you were to literally leave your console behind for 2 weeks and then pick it up again, the first day is extremely fun. The second day is less fun. The third day is a bit boring. And the fourth day, you don't even want to play it. And that's the truth. The dopamine drops every single time. But the issue with dopamine, like I said, is dopamine is used as discipline and motivation. You need dopamine to have actual emotions that mean something to you. Good, healthy dopamines. But you have been conditioned by the mainstream and people around you to literally not give a fuck about social medias and the things that actually matter, right? You don't care about social media too much. You care about consuming rather than creating. You don't care about video games too much. You just care about feeling good and having fun, having a laugh. But the reality is, you're not having a laugh. You're not actually having a good time. And your dopamine knows that. You need the natural sources of dopamine. But if you get the natural sources now, it feels less emphatic than ever before. Do you remember when you were a kid? Or perhaps this is just me. I used to get mad dopamine by socializing with my friends at school. Outside of school, you know, we'd be doing something with my friends. Oh my gosh, we get to drive somewhere and go see something. That's fun. That's dopamine. That's something I actually enjoy. Nowadays, you want the same dopamine feeling, you can just, for the first time ever, go on TikTok. It doesn't mean as much anymore. But there's one way to fix this, and it's called dopamine detox. I'm not going to talk about it, right? I don't want to talk about dopamine detox. It's one of the extreme ways. I made a video saying how to stop any sort of addictions, especially with scrolling, up here in the card, right? And if you can't see the card, I'll link it in the description just for you as well, my brother. But I made a video on this. I'm not going to talk about it again. Dopamine detox is an extreme way where you just cut off everything. You delete Instagram, you delete TikTok, you delete YouTube, you delete Snapchat, you delete your Xbox, you delete your PlayStation, you literally remove everything and it's just you. It's like monk mode, if you lot have ever heard of monk mode, where you sort of just cut off everything and hone in your focus on just yourself. You see, my method isn't dopamine detox. Before you're worrying, second guessing whether you should click that link or not. No, it's 3 ways I discovered, 3 ways I found that actually helped me stop scrolling like that. But like I said, I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about what you should feel rather than what you feel. So you know you're actually detoxing correctly. You know you're actually fixing your mind, reshaping it the normal way it's supposed to, in the correct manners. When you feel heavy and high on dopamine, as I say high, what I mean is like +3 dopamine, +2 dopamine. You understand as you go down the ladder. When you feel high on dopamine and you have so much dopamine, you're so used to it, you basically become like a drug dealer. Somebody who's so accustomed to dopamine Someone who's so accustomed to drugs, if I'm even allowed to say that word, I don't know. But someone who sits there and smokes a joint every single day, they become more and more desensitized to weed. When they get high, the first high is like nicotine rush, if you've ever heard of that. You really high up, and then you drop below the baseline, and you slowly drop below the baseline, and by the 50th spliff they ever smoke, they don't really feel high anymore. They have one spliff and they're like, oh, don't matter. Doesn't matter anymore. And like I was saying with nicotine rush, the first time you hit a cigarette, you'll probably get a huge nicotine rush, right? You'll be like, oh my gosh. And then next time you try, maybe it's one again. But then eventually you try and it takes 8. Eventually you try and it takes 16 inhalations. It becomes less and less. And the issue is, when it becomes less and less valuable, you don't chase it as much. Which means you don't chase success, because you stop chasing motivation or discipline. And I'll tell you, the easiest way to fix it right here, right now, is to get pissed off. Look around. Get your head up from the phone. Pause the video. Get your head up from the phone. Look around. Look to your left. Look to your right. Other way around for you, right? But look outside your window. Look outside your door. Look into your garden or go on a walk somewhere. And just notice how everything annoys you. My number one motivator, to be completely blunt and honest with you, is Twitter. Because I see the news on there and it just annoys me. All of these experiments they're doing, respectfully. I'm not going to comment too much on that either. I don't want to become a political YouTube channel, right? But I see all of these things and I'm like, why? Why this? Why that? Why do people always have some hatred towards the good things on this planet and so much love towards some of the bad things? And it baffles me. It baffles me so much, it starts to piss me off. And then when I get in a mood where I'm angry and pissed off, looking at Twitter feed, right? I don't go on there every single day. I go on there maybe like once a fortnight. I look at all of the news and it just flipping agitates me so much. It agitates me so much that it actually creates something, a platform, where I can just be pissed off and record videos as fluent as this one right now. And for those of you wondering, no, I didn't look at Twitter today, it was yesterday. And you can see there's a noticeable difference in between the emotion and passion inside of my videos. Even from 5 days ago. You watched the video 5 days ago, it was kind of meh. You watched the video a day ago, it was good. 3 days ago, it was good. Why? Because first off, it was a different day, and second off, it was the day I looked at the news and got agitated. I used the anger, like I said, as an initial platform. And then from that initial platform, I look around and realise, I don't have this yet, I don't have this yet, I want this, I desire this. Not in such a way of jealousy and envy, not a sin way, but more so, I'm a little bit annoyed, or perhaps I'm mega annoyed that I am where I am, and I want to do much more. I want to go much further. I have the growth mindset, and the growth mindset is very, very crucial. And you see, if you have lots and lots and lots of dopamine exposure, then the growth mindset is non-existent. You don't want to grow anymore. And the craziest thing is the growth mindset was taught in my school, yet so many people just neglect it. So many people don't care. And you might be one of them. Because dopamine has completely fucked your entire attention span of mind. Heck, if you're still watching to this point, you probably don't have such issue. I'm sure you don't, because you're able to actually focus on something for what? 8 or 10 minutes? Maybe even more than that. I don't know how long this video is, right? I'm just going with however it goes. You are still watching to this point because your dopamine isn't completely fucked. Someone else has already clicked off YouTube, gone on TikTok, clicked off TikTok, gone on Instagram, clicked off Instagram, gone on Snapchat, played some video games in the last 11 or 12 minutes. Their dopamine's fucked. Somebody else out there has 5 different screens on with 5 different social medias and 1 button to scroll past all of them. You're different. You're built different and you have a greater chance of success. I just hope you know that. This issue probably isn't prevalent with you, but just in case it is, start feeling more anger. Anger invokes every single emotion on the planet if you can direct it into the correct direction. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm a karate master or whatever. If you can direct your anger into the correct place, then anger is the only emotion you ever need to feel. You can use anger for ambition, anger for drive, power, anger for whatever the flip you want. So if you begin to adapt to anger and not take it out on random things and punch the screen and whatever, like so, you just realise that anger becomes the greatest driving force and the greatest impact to your successful journey. So always try your greatest to revert the anger from violence and take it for passion, emotion, more work, better work, higher quality, more hours, and to win quicker than anyone else could ever envision. Completely break it down Completely break all expectations and show everyone you are the fucking man. You are the boss. Stay strong out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.